welcome back. Today we're at the basement of Unrest, and it's gonna be a little bit different than normal. In this group, I came in as a replacement, and they had already had the tank pulling. It's kind of funny to watch a dwarf tank because then you can see their little legs pumping as they run. I don't know, it's one of the fun highlights. But down here in the basement, we're kind of a little further in uh, where it kind of goes to where one of the main named monsters is, who drops some pretty good strength rings. I think it's plus 3 strength and 5 armor class. And they're not too bad for, you know, mid range, and he drops them pretty frequently, so you can get them for any alts that you might need some strength on. He also drops some dwarven work boots that give a little bit of strength and provide some extra dexterity. The boots are good too if, like, let's say you're a class that can kick, as they're magic boots, so it'll break through any magic reduction that a monster may have. So they're pretty decent for like monks if they haven't already gotten magic boots, or a warrior. Well, like I said, anybody that can kick, they're gonna find those boots to be beneficial, as long as the stats are what they're looking for. Now, this is one of the first horrors of the basement. These tentacle terrors, or tentacle horrors. Oh, they have this knockback that will launch you through the air and down a hallway and into other monsters. So it's always a good idea to have your back facing a wall, or make sure you're not at like an angle to where it's going to kick you off and into a certain spot, where you're going to draw the attention of more monsters. We had an enchanter in this group as well, so it wasn't too big of a deal if we did bring back too many more, but at the time too, we had a player that was AFK, and I couldn't figure out if they were just leeching experience or if they really had something going on. But I'm playing for just to have a good time with the game, and I'm not really trying to look for what the most efficient path is or things like that. And, I don't mind if somebody leeches some experience every once in a while. It's not too big of a deal. But yeah, like I said, that dwarf just running off because they're the pullers. So I did find this group to be a little bit more boring for myself, as I wasn't pulling. But I don't think my feign death skill was high enough yet. I think it still had like a fail chance. And further down that hallway, there's quite a bit more monsters, and they're at varying levels, like vectors. And if you don't pull correctly, it's you can pull quite a few back. One of the cool things about having a paladin pull, though, is they have an ability called Soothe, spell called Soothe, or Calm. And what that'll do is it'll cause the monsters to have a smaller aggro radius, so they won't come, or there won't link as many monsters when you do pull, which I have a paladin that I play myself, and I enjoy quite a bit. While not pulling does provide a level of boredom in a group, but it also gives us a chance to raise any skills that you might have, like, for me, feign death. So I'm just constantly spamming feign death whenever it repops, just to get those few skill ups, in the downtime between the person pulling, bringing the monster back, and just gives me something to kind of focus on and do while I'm, waiting. A disadvantage, though, with having somebody with magic pull is that they are going to have to rest at a certain point. So it can kind of slow down the pulls a bit. I don't normally accept just random guild invites from out of nowhere without having a dialogue with someone. But I had been running with the enchanter in the group for a little while, and he was fairly decent with his job. So, and I noticed that he was in the same guild. However, his guild master seemed to have been down here at the time and saw I didn't have a tag, so just decided to invite me. Funny enough, though, I'm still in that group or still in that guild now, even months later. Um, Definitely a fun one. Occasionally, I'll help out or get some help from some of the members. It's a rather large guild on the Mangler server, the Bloody Rapiers. Yeah, in this group, we weren't running a main assist, and with this hallway being so cramped with and having a large ogre in the way, it definitely made targeting a little more difficult. But if you notice in the bottom right hand corner, there are some there's a targeting box. Now I don't know if that's just because of the UI skin I'm using, or if it's from actually in the game. I'll have to take another look at that and find out. But it's definitely a huge help. And if anybody likes the skin I'm currently using, it's Chrome, Khrome, and it can be downloaded for free, and it's pretty easy to install. There's even a guide with how to install UI skins. So it was kind of nice here too, because we had two different directions we could pull monsters from, since we more or less had this area uncontested, and all the monsters down here were either blue upwards to red. So the experience gain was nice and quick. Another cool thing about joining a guild in the game is it will let everybody in the group or in the guild know when you've accomplished something through the achievement system. Usually it can be like either a Slayer achievement, which gives a benefit for killing multiple of the same creature. Like you get something known as Bane Strike, which gives you additional damage to that creature type or creatures of that type. It also will let members know whenever somebody reaches like the next increment in level, like 5, 10, 15, 20. So every 5 levels it'll give a little announcement to the guild, and typically it'll elicit a response from everybody, just either congratulations or about time, or just something kind of fun to kind of encourage your fellow members to keep at it. I have to admit, my favorite monsters to kill down here are the werebats. There's something about them that they just make it fun to fight. I think they have an ability or a debuff they can put on you known as rabies, but other than that, they're just kind of a fun creature to kill, and the noises they make are interesting to me. So our group was doing well enough to where we were just kind of cutting through all the monsters that were down here. So we ended up causing ourselves to have some downtime. We were killing way too quickly that the respawns weren't happening. So we had a bit of a downtime, and I took that time to just practice using Feign Death for a bit. With having a large member in the party, you definitely wish that you had a shaman, because they have the ability to shrink the size of their fellow party members, and it's a really helpful thing, because there are areas where it's just really too small for like ogres or trolls or even barbarians to fit through. So it's kind of nice to always just kind of have a shaman on hand. If not, then getting the ant size potions. I can't remember the name of them, but Shamans, once they get to level 25, they can start crafting potions as they have access to alchemy. Um, Outside of that, I don't believe any other classes do. It's really nice the game keeps track of how many monster types that you've killed. Um, I was just checking to see when I was going to get the Bane Strike for zombie type creatures, and it looked like I was pretty far off, 27 out of 100. So I had quite a few more I had to kill. Uh, Normally, like I spend a little time in Befallen, which is a lower level undead area, before coming out to Unrest. But being an Ixar, it made being able to kill like higher level monsters at an earlier level um, a lot easier with their innate regeneration abilities and their higher armor class due to having their scales. And sometimes when your puller runs off, the monsters will respawn uh, on the pathway they have to take on their way back. And that's just an unfortunate thing that happens, and you'll end up getting a few more monsters than you intended to. But having an enchanter definitely, definitely could save your butts. Now, without having a main assist too, you're going to end up occasionally having these times where it just turns into a battle royale, and everybody's just going for everybody, and there's not too much you can do about it unless the party finally makes, or the party leader finally decides to make somebody be the main assist. I remember really disliking fighting these mortuary fungi as well. They have like an AoE drowsy debuff that they do that slows down your melee attack speed or your speed overall. And I just remember it feeling very, very slow between attacks. And these guys definitely get the pain and the butt award of the year. And it's a debuff that lasts for 30 seconds too, so as a melee, it's definitely one of the more memorable things that can happen to you. Um, I just remember whenever one was being pulled back, I was just kind of like died a little on the inside, even though it's just a slow. As a monk, it just because you all your attacks are just melee attacks, so once you feel slowed, it's a feeling that's hard to shrug away. And because of this reason, I'm looking at haste items to where I don't feel such a drag with being slowed down so much. Um, it's one of the fun things to do too while you're in a group. If anybody links any, rare items, it's kind of cool to click on them and see what the stats are, or even like looking it up on Alakazam or the Project 19 wiki, doing the research yourself and seeing if it's something you could go and farm yourself, or if it's kind of easily attainable. Those are all things that make Everquest fun. There's a few monsters down here too that drop the items for kind of mid-level armor. A greater Darkbone skeleton here, it's good for bards as it drops an item that they need to create. I believe they're bracers, and it's a no drop item, so typically other people will just leave the item there, or if you're able to do the quest on your own with like another alt, it's a good thing to just pick up if you plan on running a bard. Well, that's the end of this adventure. I definitely enjoyed making the video. If you enjoy watching it, please comment, like, subscribe. Love to hear back from anybody that's watching these videos, and if you're on Mangler, you can hit me up. Take care.